for the longest time, I have cared about everything. I feel like this like nurture woman parent who has to like show up and take care of everything. And because I'm the manager, because I'm the deputy director, everything that's not a total legal issue is on me. And the failure and the success and the happiness and the unhappiness of everybody is dependent on me. And you know where that has gotten me in the past? Nowhere. Miserable and stressed. And now I'm just being like, there are things I don't care about.
Hey, Nicole, what do you get when a former corporate CEO and a do-gooding executive walk into a recording studio?
Well, Erin, nothing, because the two of us are usually on my couch or Zoom, because wine.
You get a podcast created for Gen X women who are bought into the corporate world but fed up with the BS.
I know. It's how to thrive the 9 to 5 or 6 or 7.
It's career therapy. It's comedy. It's definitely full-on authenticity. Basically, we give you tangible strategies to rise in your career without compromising everything else.
Because work doesn't have to suck.
So I don't know how you haven't, quote unquote, divorced me, because literally leading up to our recording, I was like, let's just catch up today. Let's strategize. Let's talk off record. Maybe we record, maybe we don't. And then like you jump on and I'm like, no, I'm recording and I'm going to interrogate you.
I'm like, oh, wait, is this my first ambush? I'm like, no. And I just think to myself, I know Erin. So that's why I actually got up and took a shower this morning.
I had to record this because here's what went down. When I went for my walk this morning, I listened to one of my true crime podcasts. So I'm all in cold case, true crime, and investigative forensics. And then I thought we were meeting at 10 and we were meeting at 10:30. So I like got myself ready and then I had this time. So I decided to jump into our podcast stats, which I had, we have stats we get every month from Kate on the team. And I had looked at them before. I'd sort of summarized and sent you some of the things. And the main reason we look at the stats is just to see what people like and don't like. Like we're not some dorks or whatever.
Exactly. Well, I am a dork. I love stats.
Well, I was a stats major, but we're not that good with it, with the podcast.
No.
But
just want affirmation, people. It's our love language, okay?
Yes, right. So I went beyond the spreadsheet because we had seen this trend. Kate had pointed it out, I think last month. And I was like, that's weird. And then I got the stats and I dug all the way back and I'm like, that's even weirder. So first of all, I'm actually shocked how many, we have almost 300 episodes, how many people go back and like scroll the shit out of things or however they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while we'll promote through my email list like an old episode, but that's not what's driving it here. So anyway, so people do go back and listen, which is great, right? Like that's part of the beauty of podcasts is they live forever. You can do it on demand. But here's the weird thing. And I don't know if I told you this before, but this is what I want to interrogate and forensically figure out why.
Okay.
So back episode 31 was right around Thanksgiving. It was our first Thanksgiving, I think, on record. And we did a Thankful for 30 episode. And we sort of did like a banter about like our favorite episodes and like recapping like what we learned in each of those first 30 episodes. Okay. So that was we recorded that in 2019. Let me look at the stats. Aren't I a great forensics?
I thought it was
episode. 18. So anyways, it's 5 years old. I think it was recorded in 19, whatever. Old as fucking dirt.
But awesome. Like me.
In 2025, that episode's had 150 people go back and listen to it.
Okay.
And it all started, well, let me be a better investigator.
Right. Are there dates involved?
Where were you right before the holidays, December 2024? So let's say somewhere in like the December 22nd, which would have been a Wednesday. Was there either a work holiday party or a personal holiday? I mean, a holiday party. Do you recall?
Okay, hold on. I'm going back to my calendar. So this is December 2024. So last Christmas. Okay.
Yeah. And I remember you had a work holiday party. I don't know when it was, right? When you exchanged, like, you gave them the funny stickers and you gave
Oh,
them the
yep.
funny, like, ornaments.
I'm trying to think here. I'm pulling up my better calendar. Yes, so that was December 16th, I think, because it
The
was
work one. That would make more sense. Like
also Tom's
22nd.
birthday. Yeah, hold on, I'm going back here. Okay, December 24th. Okay. All right. I've got the calendar.
And
Got
what
the
about
calendar.
personally? Like, did you do anything personally then that next week? Do you remember what you did before the holidays? Did you go to
Well,
or
I
host any big parties?
I had a big event for the Ronald McDonald House. It's our annual Trees of Hope, where we have like thousands of people that come in and bid on trees and gifts, and it all goes to a good cause. It's our big event, and I do a lot. I do a lot with that, and I tend to be fairly chatty and possibly memorable. I do know that a lot of people Google me. I know this for a fact that I've been getting more and more Googled a lot lately, whether it's for job related stuff or board related stuff or just people I meet in the wild. I'm wondering if
Did
it
you
has
do you
to do with
think you talked
you.
specifically about that episode? Do you remember sending anybody, like, thankful for 30?
I I I did not. And I am looking at my calendar to see, like, it doesn't appear to have been that interesting of a month despite it being the holidays. Don't judge me, anybody. It's probably in a cave. No, I don't recall that. It must it I mean, could it be simply something related to SEO search terms? Like, could it be that it's something that gets suggested? May I make a suggestion?
Yeah, that's
We should chat GPT ourselves and see if that
Oh.
comes up. Uh, I'm wondering if when I say SEO searches, I'm wondering if that's maybe one of the things that, for whatever reason, the chat bots have glommed onto.
Yeah, because I was thinking that's what I was trying to figure out. Is this organic? Is this and for our listeners, if we even, put this out there, you're probably like, "Oh, that's pretty lame, like 150 listens this year." Like, our
Oh,
top episodes have like 700 listens, which I think is, that we're a top 2% podcast. That's like pretty good, but it's also not like Tony Robbins. Like, you might hear, you might be like, "Oh, 150 is not a big deal."
we're
This
not
is a
Joe
big,
Rogan, all
no,
right?
no, this is a big anomaly for us. So yeah, I was just trying to understand, like, because then I'm
How
like, if it's Nicole and I'll because what happens is it's a trickle. So it's not like one day. So just starting December 23rd, 2 days before the holidays, 2 people listen. Then it's like 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. So and then month of January alone, there were like 79 listens. And then 150 and which is so weird too, because I mean, technically it was a Thanksgiving themed, although it is simply like a recap.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
like Thanksgiving chatter.
I have a so my sense is that, like, also, I've been dying to talk to you about AI anyway, which has completely taken over my life. Like, as somebody who runs largely a customer service department, has seen in the last 6 months how ChatGPT or AI has completely changed the way that people communicate, and also the level of confidence in bad information. Wild, right? Uh, I feel like this might be a two-step thing. Like,
Mm.
I do think that more people are finding out about the podcast, and I have been having more conversations, intentionally or otherwise, as I've been in the wild, talking about the things I do in my life, right? I often struggle, as you know, between being like a completely open book and being someone who has like some measure of privacy or tries to like have two different multiple personas. And lately I've just been like, fuck it. And I do know that, particularly in my work life, even though I tend to stay behind the scenes, I have been talking more about and more about, this work. Not just that we record a podcast, but the fact that we have a body of work and it's super awesome, particularly at work and to people that I meet through other connections. So I've been talking more about it lately. And I'm wondering if people are, rather than Google, or maybe Google, because Google now has AI attached to it, or Gemini or whatever, or ChatGPT. I am wondering that if it's a secondary function of recommend some episodes of Erin and Nicole, and that's one that pops up. And it could,
Or of Nicole, like, it could simply be too I mean, certainly I'm obviously on stages and public figure and all that stuff, but
Yeah, could be that too.
my hypothesis is you have something to do with this, and it could even be like Nicole Licata Grant's podcast episode, and maybe this one has somehow, like, to your point, gotten into the
Yeah.
SEO engine in a way that others haven't. I don't know.
I
So
have a
crazy.
feeling that the more work that whatever we can do to make ourselves more, like, relevant to the AI universe, the better, because I think people are interacting with AI as their primary search engine l more
Yeah.
than just simple Google, right?
Can
They
we
want the information analysis. So that's my
Okay.
guess.
And
Keep
true,
talking
Erin.
about it.
Yeah,
Keep
no,
doing content.
let's come back. So let's come back and do some
Right.
research, by the way. If you wanna know what the first 30 episodes, which I'm sure were fucking funny as hell and super, super imperfect, go to episode 31 for a recap, and then you can
Yeah.
go further
Y
because
you know why?
apparently other
Because,
people
like,
are.
this is also, like, before I knew that my life was gonna spiral out of control. I was still, like, fairly confident that I had my shit together and that this was all gonna be, like, a really interesting experience where, like, I learned to open up and grow professionally and support you in your career rather than have a complete and utter life meltdown in the middle of, like, online for people to see backwards and forwards. So, there was a lot of overconfidence back then, I bet.
Well, that makes me think, you know how people, like, we don't do this, but podcasts will have episode or, season 1, season 2, season 3.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should go back and categorize ours, and be like, season 1, pre Nicole meltdown, season 2, the full meltdown,
Go to it,
season 3,
COVID.
we think she's out of the meltdown, but she actually isn't.
A
Season
new
4.
a new spiral, a new high and a new low, right? I mean, really, it's really hilarious. I mean, you could not have started this at, like, a better time in terms of content. Like, who knew? Just who knew, karma's a bitch. But, yeah, that would be pretty funny to categorize these. Like, sometimes I do go back and listen, and I think to myself, I'm like, "Wow, you probably deserve to slap down." And other times I'm like, "You sound good, girl. Like, get that confidence back." Or like, "Yeah, that's a good fucking point right there." So
I
I've I've had so many thoughts about everything.
I think we all can relate to that. Hey there, it's Erin. I'm just popping in real quick to ask you a question. Is there any chance you know someone who is looking for a keynote speaker for their upcoming event? Look, I know that many event organizers, they struggle to find a speaker who provides both tangible value and business knowledge, but that also lights their audience on fire. And I truly believe there aren't many speakers like me out there who are both former corporate executives and professionally trained speakers. And there's definitely none that roll in with an orange suitcase they unpack with their audience. Trust me on that. I would love nothing more than to bring my message of using authenticity as your strategic career and business advantage to people spinning in your universe, especially if you'd be there. I promise my talks always create an immediate buzz, but not just right after, but for months and years after the event is over. You can learn more about my message, style, and reviews, and share my speaking info by going to beauthenticinc.com/keynote-speaking. That's B, just the letter B, authenticinc.com/keynote-speaking. Or, of course, we have it right in the show notes to make it easy for you too. Can we talk about AI for a second? I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about it in an angle that's probably different than yours. Let's talk about that, and then I want to hear about your latest "We Don't Care" initiative, quote unquote.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
so I have had an epiphany in the last, let's say, month
Okay.
that AI is the best fucking thing that could have happened to this authenticity cause, and here's why.
Okay. Shoot, girl. Me and my T-Rex wanna know.
In the olden days,
Mm,
business was boring, inauthentic bullshit, right? Like, people were leading stuffy meetings, writing crappy emails, like, all the things that, why I started the business, why we started this podcast is, like, to cut through that crap, right? But people mostly, like, it's taken a lot to get them to see that that's crap and that they need to change and all that kind of stuff, right?
mhm.
Here's what's happening that's beautiful.
Okay.
Now, when things are stuffy, boring, too perfect,
Mm.
people are suspect that it's a bot, that it's AI.
Yep.
And they're calling it out, and they're like,
Absolutely.
oh, whether it's they're seeing it or they're actually avoiding being that person. So here's what's freaking hilarious, right?
I have a great story about this.
I don't at the end of the day, like, my opinion, I don't care who originates the BS. I don't care if it was a human or if it's a quote unquote bot. I'm trying to get rid of it, right?
Right.
But now people are so much more aware of it, even though some of this stuff sounds exactly like it's always sounded, and they're trying to avoid it. So, like, things like, people are, like, frightened of putting M dashes anywhere because M dashes are, like, right now are, like, the true tail sign that you just copied and pasted it.
Which sucks because I'm a huge Dash user. Like, damn it.
I
I
know,
was like,
I mean, like,
don't
I didn't know what that was until I wrote my books, but now I'm like, I'm a two-time author, like, I am authorized to use M dashes, but now I'm, like, scared as hell because I don't want anybody to think it's ChatGPT.
I know. I have been using them forever, and people always have made fun of me because of my, like, nonlinear thinking where it's like, there's a thing and then there's, like, a thought, like, that's get
The
inserted into the
parenthetical, the
right, and
parenthetical,
then
but
there's,
with the
like, a
dash.
right, and then there's, like, another thought. I'm like, "Fuck, Chat," like, and I've always been made fun of for that and been like, "Oh, you're such a complex writer," and I'm like, "Damn it." I'm like, "Damn it." Now now I seem like ChatGPT when I write. Damn
But
it.
do you see what I mean? Like, I think it's actually gonna help the conscience and this revolution where people are like, in the past, they're like, "I'm okay being seen as inauthentic because that's the playbook, and that's what the executives do, and that's what people before me did." But now that they're like, "I don't wanna be seen as a robot,"
Right.
I think they're starting to purposely and consciously understand the thing that I've been telling people for 6.5 years is that authenticity is the best strategy to make sure people connect with you and trust you. Now trust that it is you. Before it was just trust you. Right now, trust that it is you
Mhm.
and stand out from the others who are just pushing buttons and let crap run out. So that's my latest, like, oh my God. I'm loving watching the chatter and the people waking up to it, and I just think it's also hilarious because I'm like, actually, these AI people sound like you've sounded for, other people in business have sounded forever, but now you're, like, against it, which
Right.
is totally great with me.
Totally. Totally. I have had epiphanies about AI for other reasons. Sometimes I feel like it's making me dumber, but,
Definitely. I
I
have that
definitely
here
feel like
too.
it's me yeah,
Don't you think we're gonna have to go to, like, camps, like, training camps or have like, morning routines like our workout to, like, keep our brain intact?
yeah, because I keep thinking about, like, how much time I spent getting, like, a fine high level liberal arts education, and, like, people are still getting fine liberal arts educations and paying, like, $100,000 a year for them. I did not pay $100,000 a year for that, but, like, doing this, like, rigorous brain training for what? To, like, use ChatGPT to get another piece of paper. So confused about this topic. And, like, I have all of this education, and I just feel like, yeah, like, the most useful part of it is if I can ask ChatGPT really good questions. Really good questions, like, trip it up or call it out for its inconsistencies. It's not a perfect tool by any means, and I think one of the things that I've quite honestly, in my work that I have brought up, and I feel like I'm one of the first to bring this up in the broader area where I work, which is like the regulatory world, which is, that it's not the question for me is not how people are using Chat GPT themselves. Like, that is not necessarily of interest to me. There's lots of thoughts around that. It's how I'm being impacted on the receiving end of Chat
Mm,
GPT and what it has done as it has because it's open source, it has made people's communications be extremely bold and confident and filled with misinformation because it's based off open searches on the internet. And the internet has a ton of outdated information, tons of outdated information, more information that's out of date than that's to date.
yeah.
So, what it means is that ChatGPT is often processing things or giving people information that, if it is not inquired perfectly well, will be misleading and out of date. And then I feel like we end up fighting with chatbots. Like, so someone who is asking a question or needs something or wants something, like, first of all, there's a ton of confirmation bias going on with ChatGPT. Like, it's going to tell you what it wants to.
Mhm. 100%.
Second of all, it's gonna if you're asking
As I confirm with you 100%.
oh, 100%, total confirmation bias. Like, so that's a really strange place to be in itself. Second part is that it gives a lot of misinformation. Like, it will direct you based on what it thinks it wants from you, and if you don't inquiry perfectly or ask subsequent qualifying questions, like, you will often be given misinformation. And then people communicate that with absolute certainty and with and in a way that is probably not how they would communicate it in their own words. They might not even entirely be clear of what they're asking. And you can go down huge tangents with people where you're talking about topics or providing information or doing a ton of work or research trying to answer questions that are not really legitimately their questions, but because ChatGPT brought it up, now it's an issue, right? But so you're basically trying to fight gravity or fight non-information. Like, how do I prove that something on the internet is wrong, right? So
Yep.
that can be really challenging. So, I have found that even though it is a useful tool for, like, synthesizing language and for concepts, it is really hard on the receiving end, and I think it's making human interaction a lot more difficult and contentious,
Yeah.
t
Yeah.
flat out, right?
Yeah, I think with all things, we'll find our way. I mean, there's obviously scary things about it, but Jesus Christ, there's a lot of freaking scary things in the world that are well beyond technology right now. I think we'll find our way and our balance and the good and the bad and all that kind of stuff. But I think, yeah, right now I mean, I think about when I wrote the 50% rule, which, heart of writing that was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I
Mhm.
think I had ChatGPT maybe halfway through it.
Okay.
Um, I did not use it prolifically. I would use it once in a while to say, "Is there, research that shows blah, 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 blah," and it would give me, like, 5 different names, and then I always went out to the internet, and then I didn't just go out to the internet, like, for that stuff, I would go to the boring as hell PDF, documents because 'cause I'm like, "I'm not gonna write something in my book unless I read, like, the source research and studies and, that kind of stuff." But I even think about writing another book because the day will come. I don't know when, not
Mhm.
right now. And I'm like, I don't, it actually demotivates me.
Right.
And to that point about brain, I'm worried that the next time I sit down to write, that my brain won't be in the same shape as it was. For
Oh, yeah.
the
No.
creativity and, the just the crux that it seems to lean on, just like when we don't know a fact or figure, we pick up our phones, while we're having conversations all the time. Oh, what was the actor's name? Um, I think we probably, used to be a lot better at that pre, Google.
Well, and I get confused between, like, am I having, like, a post-perimenopausal moment where my
Yeah.
executive functioning is down? Is this a function of the fact that I'm stressed and have a million things going on in my mind? Is it chemical? Is it contextual? Or does it have to do with
Oh my
externalities,
god,
right?
that's so interesting. Like for all of us that are, 50-ish year old women in the age of AI, that is a multivariate equation for sure and not a
Yeah,
controlled experiment.
absolutely. Like, I think in every interaction, I'm like, what could be the rationale for my brain not functioning as well? And I've always, like, prided myself with being a good writer, but, you know, eh, we the things that get popped out of ChatGPT are they're pretty polished. The only thing is that, like, the tone just sounds off
Yeah.
sometimes. And I had a situation where I got ChatGPT'd, by someone at work, and now I refer to them as chat boss because it was so obviously, like, I was like, "Oh, my chat boss." Um, and I hated to be a jerk, but the information was wrong. And, this is typical ChatGPT. You only get as good as what you put in. And, I had to be the asshole to be like, "I actually don't think that's the" I was like, "I don't" because also, it's one thing if you're asking ChatGPT for information on, like, tracking your macros and your diet. It's another thing when you're asking about the nuances of, like, complex regulatory matters or, like, comparison of dockets or intricacies that are going on in real time in, like, legal filings. It's not that it can't do it, it's just that it doesn't necessarily get it right, as we all know, and I had to be like, "I think that's not right," and to tell the machine and to tell the chat bosses that they're wrong is fun because you don't wanna be like, where did you get this information from? Like, you don't want to say that anymore because
Right.
you don't want to call anybody out to be like, oh, yeah, I ChatGPT'd it. Because it does seem like a little taboo. I,
Yeah.
at least with our generation, the younger generation seems to be like, yeah, I got that at ChatGPT. And it's like, oh, you did?
Right. It feels like for our
Our,
generation, sort of calling somebody else out, like, oh, you're emotional, you're on your period or something. Like it's got a little of that, like,
yeah.
d-
It
you
has
know,
the feeling of, like, it's this whole, like, Gen X, rugged individualist, pull yourself by your bootstraps, last analog generation, like, we do the work. We do the work ourselves. We do the hard
mhm.
work. And, like, these youngins, like, they got all the tools, and they got helicopter parents, and they've got everybody doing everything for them. And what's funny is, like, it doesn't always reinforce this narrative that we have in our own minds of being, like, individual and doing it on your own is better. It actually reinforces the narrative that, like, a little bit of both is great, right? So
Yeah.
it's, I think, hard sometimes to wrap our heads around this idea of something that does the work for you is not being taboo in our generation, right? And we've been talking about the robots coming for our jobs since we were in the womb.
Yeah.
So this just, and we've seen it all, right? We've seen the tech bubbles. We've seen, the rise of the internet. I mean, that didn't even exist when we were chilling. And um, I actually was telling a funny story the other day about how, back in the day when we had to get information, I went to the encyclopedias, and my dad would be like, "You don't know, I'm still paying those encyclopedias off. Go to the encyclopedia, get information. Like, that's where you need to get your information from. I'm gonna paying that off for years." And hearing that is like no child will ever hear that from their parents again, like
No.
what the payments on the encyclopedia set are,
I
and
bet you
how
kids of this
useful that is.
generation don't even know that encyclopedias were multiple books because it
Multiple
was
books,
by
the
alphabetical
letter.
order. Like it was
Yeah,
not just like one big book.
and it was fascinating to have a place where you could, like, look up the mating habits of right whales and, you know, what mitochondria was in your own home. It was
Yeah.
like information is available. Or, like, female reproductive organs or whatever. Like, I mean, we didn't all
Just
use it for
saying.
good. We didn't all use it for good. We're like, "What do penises look like?" Like, I mean, it was
Is
our
it under
go-to.
sex or is it under intercourse? Do I need the I edition or the S edition to figure out what the hell this is?
Exactly. Exactly. I feel like I and S disappeared for a short while. I'm not sure, but, like, of the encyclopedia generation, there's something to that, like, our brains were trained in a very different way. I think our generation is fascinating because of this, like, I almost wish somebody would do some more sort of, like, behavioral analysis or psychological study or, you know, uh, some kind of some kind of psychologist would study this more, like, how brains are changing over time, and particularly, we're in a really funny era, right? Like, we are aging, but we also grew up in a very different environment, and we have also our, like, social standards, and all of this is coming together. So I I
Well, I
I still
know,
cringe. I still cringe over ChatGPT, but, like, it's got its values. We have to form a relationship with it, even if we don't want to.
and I know an emerging psych student that's gonna be heading to college next year and maybe looking for, PhD topics in the next 6 to 8 years. No.
I volunteer my brain.
I'll Hey guys, Erin here. Stop, 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 stop. Do not do it. Don't fast forward. I have something too important. I have a couple of very passive aggressive questions to ask you that you don't want to miss. Here they are. 1, do you find yourself often comparing yourself to others? Like, they work harder than me, they get noticed more than me, they have better luck than me, they're smarter than me. Or do you also just feel exhausted from having to always work as hard, if not harder, than everybody else to stand out and succeed? I know you have these challenges. We all do. And this is why I wrote the 50% rule. And I know you need to read another book like you need a hole in the head. But I'm telling you, this book and this rule, I'm obsessed with it. And it has changed my life. It has changed the lives of others around us. And it has also been the formula for success behind so many successful people. Savannah Bananas, Hamilton, Weird Al Yankovic. The 50% rule is the simplest shortcut to stop comparing, stop copying, stop chasing other people, and like literally compete in your league of your own. There isn't a day that doesn't go by where I stop myself and I'm like, oh, she did a talk that I wish I could do. She's got more. No, it doesn't matter because we don't compete in the same league. I compete in a league of my own because I am constantly 50% ruling things. So if you're interested in this concept, which by the way is more fun as a team sport, but at least start with yourself. You cannot miss this book. It's not only powerful, it's really freaking fun to read. That is always my number one goal. It was my number one goal with my first book. It's my number one goal with the 50% rule. I want to make it enjoyable to read it. Why? So that you read it. So if you feel like you are stuck with these comparison cramps or just all the symptoms that I talk about in the book of sleep running syndrome, self-doubt gout, and pioneer paralysis, and well, you have to read the book to find out more, then just go buy the darn book. Easiest way, go to Amazon, search the 50% rule, and I cannot wait to hear how you 50% rule things. Speaking of your brain, I want to, I think one of the things that's been really fun in the last maybe 12 months in the episodes is just watching your leadership journey and how much you've always brought humor, to things. But I think some of your jobs, there weren't a lot of opportunities. I remember when you got to MC an event back at your last job and that got to come out, of course. So, but it like didn't necessarily come out in your day-to-day leadership. And now you're leading a team and I freaking love it. And I think this is the kind of stuff people want to hear because they could steal, but we have not caught up in forever. Tell us about the, we simply don't care, or the do not care club that you're obviously emulating off of another influencer, but.
So I mean, I think people know, like, I work with a really, like, quirky group of people. Like, I'm one of them. I don't hide that at all. And, our leadership group is in a transition. We have another equal of me who's been brought in who is a very different person. And I think that has complicated things for better and for worse. It has complicated things and has made me sort of question how I interact with people and like, what is it that I bring to the table? Because like the reason for my humor, and I'll get to the good stuff. The reason for my humor is because in some ways it's a coping mechanism, but it's also a great leveler. Like if you can do it appropriately, if you can leverage humor in the workplace in an authentic way, like it will make you fast friends and you will know very quickly like who's on your level and who's not. And the truth is like things have changed and people don't necessarily know like who's doing what anymore, who to go to. And I have a tendency in periods of change to not do well, right? Like I'm not great with change. I want to be, not great with change. Particularly when it comes to understanding like my role. And it's not egotistical. It's just that everyone has a need for boundaries. And when things start to get fuzzy, you start to feel like you have to compete in like an environment where you used to be at the head of the pack and you were like safe in your den. And now somehow there's somebody else or other people there who are supposedly supposed to be part of your pack, but it feels very threatening, right? Like, and that is not a healthy attitude. And it is something that I have tried to combat my whole life. And I think I'm finally doing it, which is like not to compete. I'm not competing. Like what you have to do is to continue to do the things that set you apart. Like why do people like you? Why do they respect you? Why do they enjoy working with you? And to consistently like be that person and not to try to compete at a lower level or be helpful, be encouraging, be engaging, but bring those things that have made you effective to the table, let those shine, and then other things go. Like, give some things up that maybe you don't like or don't do well or don't care about for other people and continue to hone in. Like, it is an opportunity. It's hard to say. So one of the things, like, that has just come up is, like, I am completely in love with the, like, We Do Not Care Club, the Melanie Saunders lady, which I think you might have been the first person to send it to me. And I mean, she has exploded. And if you haven't found her yet, she's an African American woman. I think she's in her early 40s. She's a mom. She's a professional. And her shtick is essentially that she has a club for all women, like similar to this menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, premenopause, about like how we're walking around in the world right now, like what we simply care about and don't care about. And I find this like binary equation so fucking appealing.
Mhm.
Like, so appealing, like, so level setting. And
yeah, I mean, she's essentially started this We Do Not Care Club, which is basically putting, as she said, putting the world on notice that we simply do not care. And then, like, here are the things we do not care about anymore.
so here I am thinking about, like, I'm in this, like, work environment where things are changing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I simply do not care." Like, I do not care. And, like, I walk and you know me, like, this is me. People tease me all the time. Volker even teases me all the time about, like, I constantly walk around with my notepads and my highlighter. So, like, she'll, like, have her list of announcements so analog. It's in a spiral-bound notebook.
Yeah.
She writes them down. She has a highlighter and crosses them out, and I was like, "This woman is my spirit animal." So, I just had this moment of realization where I was like, I honestly don't care. And you know what is also so timely is because Mel Robbins released her latest book, Let Them, which is all the rage right now, which essentially is the same thing, which is like, the bottom line is like, know what you care about, right? And this is not, none of these are new philosophies. It's the Stoics of the like, take care of yourself, pay attention to your own shit. It's the serenity prayer, like, know what's in your control and what's not. Like, it's all the same shit we've been saying for a long time, repackaged, but with a lot more humor and a lot more reality. And so I've been starting the day with, like, a small group of employees being like like, what we no longer care about, and, like, which has been amazing because they implicitly already know what I do care about. I have said it 1,000 times.
Right.
Documentation, do this, do that, show up on time. They know what I care about, but what I don't care about is an opportunity to engage with them deeply, right? Like, funny. And so, like, one of the things that came out the other day was, like, um, people often tease me and often have about how, like, you can tell like, I would never be able to play poker because, like, everything is written on my face. Like, if I hear something and I don't like it, I might not jump in, but, like, you can see it on my face. And, one of the things I wrote was, "I don't care if my face bothers you. My face does not have a filter." I was like I was like, "Please refer to my face before for my response before sending me a follow-up email." Like, if you wanna know what I'm feeling, please refer to my filterless face. I I don't care that I don't have a filter, you know?
Yeah.
Like, shit like that, just funny, ridiculous things like that, but that pick up on real things in the office, like, you know, I no longer care that your printer access cards do not work. Like, the number is posted and you can help yourself. I am not your mother. This is not kindergarten. I mean, I just don't like it. I don't care. Because Erin, for the longest time, I have cared about everything. I
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like this, like, nurture woman, parent who has to, like, show up and take care of everything, and because I'm the manager, because I'm the deputy director, everything that's not a total legal issue is on me, and the failure and the success and the happiness and the unhappiness of everybody is dependent on me, and you know where that has gotten me in the past? Fucking nowhere.
Mm.
Miserable and stressed. And now I'm just being like, there are things I don't care about. So I'm gonna let you know that, and I'm gonna let you know in a funny way. And you are going to realize that you might have to adjust. You might have to do some things. I'm not going to solve all your problems for you, right? And it has really empowered me to focus on like some shifts. One, creating space for this new manager. Like, what is it that I don't care about, but is important that he might care about? Space for that. Like, what are people bogging me down with that, like, it just is legitimately not my problem. I know you have an aunt issue. Here's the number. Call them or like whatever. Again, and my role is to elevate rather than to solve all the minuscule problems, to be like, "Here's the information to help yourself. If you're not getting the response that you need to get, that's where I can come in." So I've been trying to elevate myself as a manager in comparison to what else is going on, right? So now I don't have to do everything. There's other people to help, right? But now I can elevate myself. So telling people what I no longer care about, I think has given me some really, really great boundaries to be more clear on what I do care about. So, like, it's fucking funny, but it's actually real. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and it's, one, it grabs people's attention, right? Being
Mhm.
unexpected is one of the core principles I talk about,
Mhm.
and if nothing else, like, get people out of their, haze and daze of, like, here are all the priorities and here are all the things I care about, like you said, it's said usually in bullshit words, and nobody ever says, like, what we don't. But I think even more important than that, and I've been having this conversation a lot lately, it's not new, but it's escalating every day. Companies are and when I say companies, people are on a treadmill
Yes.
every day that somebody keeps hitting the up button on every single day since I personally believe since 2008 when we hit the financial crisis and the inflection point of companies learned how that they thought they could do fine with every person having two jobs and the run rate was sort of depressed
Yep.
and they learned the playbook. They had to get past the inertia of laying people off, and so we've been operating under this just like at some point it's going to combust. And I actually had this conversation with one of my coaching clients yesterday who is definitely, in the midst of that like no other. She's in healthcare, which is obviously taking a beating because of regulation and she's in that classic like my boss is retiring but they're not replacing her and they're bringing on this
Yep.
team to me and everybody's like, 80-20 it and she's like I've 80-20 since forever and the work no longer it can be addition, it has to be subtraction, and it can't just be subtraction in nobody wants to sit down and do subtraction, but it's probably the most strategic fucking thing that can happen, whether it's through humor or it's through prioritization or it's through killing stupid reports and crap that HR makes you need to do this whole
Oh.
simplification.
Yep.
Which,
Yep.
my
Yep.
friend Lisa Bodell that in her company Future Think, she was on the podcast, about a year ago. Actually, I just sent her episode out. I think it's 246, which I believe so strongly in because it's a kissing cousin to authenticity. A big part of
Mhm.
authenticity is like you cutting through the bullshit because we ain't got time. And
Mhm.
so,
Yep.
I think one, it's a great example of how you bring humor and quite frankly, how you bring something that's a pop culture of the internet into your leadership. Like, take inspiration from pop culture because it's the TikToks, like so many people don't do that in a way
Right.
but you're doing it in a way that's not just like I'm looking for a good laugh and some comedic 5 minutes in our staff meeting, like
I'm
making it
looking
substantive.
I'm looking to help myself change for the better, right? And one of the things that you say all the time, I'm gonna repeat this as many times as I possibly can in my life, is that like communication is not what you say, it's how it's received, right?
Mhm.
So if the universe is receiving Melanie and her We Do Not Care Club really, really well, then there's something there. And it's not, I'm not stealing from it. I'm borrowing the concepts, right? And so
Yeah.
like she's basically setting boundaries in her life. I have been talking to you for 6 fucking years about needing to create boundaries in
Quote
my life.
unquote boundaries,
I'm
yes.
like, "This bitch went and created some serious boundaries, and the whole world just signed up to follow her." And I was like, "This is a man." I was like, "Maybe Melanie has not done the Melanie Guide to We Do Not Care Management, but she should. Take it
Yeah.
from me because she should." And, like, it has helped me create some boundaries, but also some of my colleagues are too. Look, there are some folks who, like, this is outside their realm. Like, they're not on TikTok. Like, a 40-year-old African American woman talking about what she doesn't care about with, like, plucking her chin hairs is not gonna resonate with my, like, forensics accountant. Like, I get that, right? But he can pick up on a vibe, and some of the employees are coming back to me and saying things like, "We do not care that we have no control. We're going to do the best we can." Or, "We do not care that we have been asked to file this by Friday. It is a holiday weekend, and, nobody's here to do it, and so it'll be done Monday." Like, they're just, I think, also feeling better about saying their own boundaries or saying their own expectations in a way that helps us actually communicate with a little bit of joyfulness and maybe sometimes staff feel like management are not listening. Like, it's a way to get people to listen,
Yeah.
right? Like, to what their needs and what their boundaries are. Because, yeah, I'm a manager. I can set some boundaries for me, but it's also helpful, I think, for it to be bidirectional. So other folks have picked up on it and been using that. And again, it's not, people are not trying to get out of work or do less. They really are just have been sort of in a really complex situation, a complex environment, using a combination of humor and a communication tool that obviously works to
Yeah.
create some boundaries and expectations and communicate with each other,
And I
right?
even, I think some people might listening,
Better than passive aggressiveness.
yeah, that might know you or, go, but yeah, but Nicole's freaking hilarious. Like, I don't have that. And I would tell you, for example, one of my coaching clients, she, she is not a, stand-up comedian by any means. I mean, she's got a great sense of humor, but she's in finance. She's got a finance brain. She's, a little, and she is still leading through creativity, through authenticity. She has created, like committee, she was so sick of people complaining about, you know, or hearing that they're not equipped to do their job. So she basically turned it back on this team, and the team is actually coming up with what they want to be trained on. And she's like open sourcing it. Right. So, like, I guess my point is, it isn't just the humor, but I think it is stealing. I think, one, stealing from others, including places you don't expect, and this, I talk about this nonstop
Yep,
in the
yep,
50% rule. Like,
absolutely.
most of your inspiration actually should come out of context, and then you repurpose it. And so it's not that, humor is necessarily the main thing. And I've said this about authenticity. To me, humor is salt and pepper. On authenticity, you don't have to have it, but it makes things taste better.
Yeah,
So I just hope that others will see it goes back to the authenticity. It's about being creative. It's about always looking, like I talk about in the 50% rule, for inspiration, and then taking about half of it and then making half applicable to you or to your own, or and
yeah,
that wakes people up. And
it does.
I do not see how in the next 10 years companies don't implode without a fundamental shift to
No.
more authenticity, less bullshit,
Yep.
because it's just not sustainable.
Right. We've got the rise of AI and like the chat bosses. We've got an expectation that people get what they want faster and more perfect. We have we work in a remote environment. We've got new generations of workers that function totally differently. Like, it's got to be done different. Two of the things that really made people laugh this week that I said was, I noticed that some of our Teams meetings had been a little less effective than usual, and partially because, like, half people were on camera and half people weren't. So what I said, I level set it. I was like, "Look, I know a lot of us are working remotely right now, or like it's summer, there's a lot going on." I was like, "We," I said, "For this set of meetings, we do not care if we see your face on camera. We know what you look like." Like, "We know what you look like. It's fine." Like, I was just like, "We do not care." Basically, just being like, I get it. Like, you don't have to be on camera, but, like, let's just the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah.
Half the people
Yeah.
on camera feel like they should, the other half not. Other people are, like, trying to, take calls from closets because they're in an uncomfortable environment with the kids going back to school. I'm like, "We don't care. Just it's fine. Like,
Right.
let's just talk about the elephant in the room, but, like, I
We
don't care."
appreciate those who do,
Right, right.
but we do not care.
We do not care. Like, because what happens is people wonder if you're holding them accountable. Then they start talking about it, and then like, "Oh, I don't." Then they spend energy talking to each other and creating chaos about stupid shit like, we're going to performance review time. Do you think like I'm gonna get a worse performance evaluation because I'm never on camera and like my situation is difficult?" Like, we don't care. Like, just
We do.
stop putting energy towards that. Okay? We don't care. Like, it's just not part of it. And that's part of what I want to do, is to like let people know what the rules of engagement are, because I'm also tired of hearing all of like the back end like bullshit complication and gossip of what people think I do care about or don't care about,
Right.
right? And then it becomes this whole like persona that's not me. So I'm like, whatever. The other other thing is I was on a call, like this really terrible call with people, and I did not turn off my microphone, and I was typing, and they were like, Nicole, we can hear you typing. And I was like, I don't care that you can hear me typing. Now you know I'm only half listening. So we probably could we could this content probably is, we could probably hasten this. I was fucking brutal. I was brutal. I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm only half listening because this call is terrible. So I'm like, but I'm required to be here. So what can we do to hasten this? I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
That is what I said. I was like, I don't care, because I'm only half listening. And you know what? It was effective. Like we got through the rest of the agenda in 5 minutes and we were done. Uh, it's funny and maybe it can be a little off-putting, but I'm telling you, it's an effective communication tactic. I suggest people try it out a
I
little
love
bit.
it. I love it. Well, and I think for us in the 40s and 50s, we need it more than ever and maybe
Yeah.
have the confidence to do it, but I'd love it for the younger generations too. And I know some people might be thinking, yeah, but they don't give a shit about anything. No, they do. They care about results. They just don't care about the bullshit, and they're going to call you out on the bullshit. So like, I think there's a little of like, stop dismissing the younger generation who's a little bit bold and not quite so submissive to the crap.
Yeah.
I'm taking a clue from them, but also inspiring them how to do that in a way that maybe is a tiny bit more effective and professional.
Yes. And, I think one thing that I also would like to add is that I've noticed in these like more authentic interactions with people that some folks, some more mature workers, they tend to think like, and I think this is still a mistake, that authenticity is like static and it's like one person and they bring that person to the table. And that is not true. You have multiple identities. And I had an interaction yesterday where this really came to light and needed to be addressed. And this person who doesn't report to me and I don't report to them, but we work together in the organization said, I'm a helicopter mom and like I can't help but be like a helicopter X role. And and I said, and my response was, well, I have a mom and like that's that's not the role here. I was like, I basically was like, I don't need you to be a helicopter parent to me. I was like, we can have professional engagement
Yeah.
and we can engage on these things professionally as two colleagues. But I was like, I don't
Yeah.
I'm not
Parenting and colleaguing are not the
yeah,
same thing.
right. Being a helicopter manager is not because you're a helicopter parent doesn't necessarily mean you need to be a helicopter manager. And it doesn't make it okay. Like
Yeah.
that that feeling of like, it's like a badge of honor. Like I'm this great parent and I'm so engaged as a parent and I'm going to treat you in the same way. I'm going to get deeply engaged and I'm going to be like overly invested in the details. And not some people are receptive to that. I am not. So I just had this realization too that I was like, again, communication is how it's being received. To bring your full self to work or bringing your most authentic self, uh, it not every part is transferable, right? Like,
Yeah. Don't be faux authentic. Don't be faux
right,
authentic.
right, and
Don't bring
also
your whole
like
shitty self to work.
correct. And leadership also requires you to like look around at the things that are working and not working in yourself. And when you're trying to make space for change, recognizing with yourself first that change is hard and like you didn't get to where you are by simply being like everything is great, I care about nothing, right? You did it strategically and difficult and lots of time and lots of effort, and then when change feels initially maybe threatening or weird, like think about those pieces of you that are working and think about like the things in the world that are working and like focus on that which makes you unique and special and authentic and awesome. And like, we don't have to care
And
about
don't
the
care about the other shit.
we don't fucking care about the rest of it.
Care
You
about
don't have to own all of that baggage and all that shit all the time. You can evolve.
Love it. I love it. I think that's a great message and a great way to close us out. Thank you for letting me be the most opposite day, ridiculous, quote unquote leader and telling you how we were going to handle and tackle today. But I think these are really important messages, and I love continuing to hear about your evolution and
And I'm
what
just
you don't care
glad
about.
and I'm just glad that, yeah, that I actually washed my hair and put on a bra because I do care about not looking completely horrible for like all of the universe. It's questionable, but like I still care about that.
You look amazing. All right. Bye, guys. Hey, it's Erin with a teeny request. If you have ever gotten any value from this podcast and you'd like us to stick around, plus you want it to continue to grow so we can kind of swindle bigger and more knowledgeable guests to join us and to keep providing you with tangible and inspiring actions you can take to achieve the career and life you deserve, could you please just take 1 minute to leave us a rating and a review? Those reviews go a long way in attracting guests to the show, and candidly, they really make Nicole and I's day. We see you. We really do. So when you have the time and inspiration, we'd love to see a rating and review from you. Thank you.